Welcome to the Community Preservation Meeting being held at One Government Center in the City Council Hearing Room. It's 6 o'clock, March 18th, 2024. Pursuant to the open meeting laws, any person may make an audio or video recording of the public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Things are therefore advised that such recording or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and deemed acknowledged and permissible. We'll start with roll call. Joanne, we'll start with you on Zoom.
Yep, Joanne Bentley present.
Alexander Silva present.
Kristen Cantara Olivera present.
John Brandt present.
Rick Mancini, present.
And we're missing an appointee from the mayor's office, the city council office. Victor Ferris from the park department is not here. And we're missing someone from planning. And also in attendance, we have Sandy Dennis from admin. And over TV, we have Craig?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Any citizen input?
No.
Okay. Can I have a motion for the approval of minutes from February 8th and February 12th?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of March 18th and February 12th.
February 8th and February 12th.
February 8th and
12th.
February 12th.
Okay, yes. Correct.
I'll second
Stand
that.
corrected.
Okay, roll call vote. Joanne, we'll start with you.
Yes, Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Olivera, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Okay. Next, on to the scoring round. We didn't get our figures in exactly from the state, but we have an estimate of what we do have coming down. So we're gonna be looking at funding 1.9. Now, out of our 1.9, we,
1.9 million.
Yeah, just
Just so they know.
1.9 million. We do have to take off the bat, administration, 45,000. We have, 78,000 bond is for,
FY19, the Bioreserve Conservation Land Acquisition Project.
and then we have 221, which is the, fire museum and the fire station. And then we do not have any housing, so we have to take out 190,000 and put into the housing category, because we have to put 10% of the, in the four totals. Okay.
Sorry, John, what was the first number that you gave?
45,000 for the, administration.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on, to our first project, which was, scored our highest, which is the,
Antioch.
Antioch School,
It's the fold one, right?
The Antioch.
That one.
right here.
No, that
No,
you just
that one.
fold the page.
Yep.
Okay, all right. All right. So Antioch School. All right. Antioch School is located on 618 Rock Street, Fall River. This is phase 1 of Part B project. They're looking for a total funding of $160,270. Do we have a motion on the floor to fund?
I'll make a motion to fund Antioch School for $160,270.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, roll call?
You just have to say the category and we have to specify
Oh.
the scope.
Excuse me, can you also, read out the description of what you're going to fund?
I thought we'd do that after we okayed,
Oh, okay.
or do you wanna do that before we do the,
Yeah, we might as well do it before,
okay?
then, yeah.
All right, all right. So the Antioch School exterior project would fall under historic preservation category. And in that, we would be okaying.
You want me to read it? Phase 1, Part B, exterior
Right.
restoration, which includes the roof dormers and chimney restoration.
Yeah, so it'd be the 9 dormers, red cedar siding, all masonry work, and painting material, labor, and lifts for the project. So we do the motion now to fund that and
Yep.
items.
Okay. Again, I'll make a motion to fund Antioch School for $160,270.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll second the motion for the $160,270.
Okay. We'll start with roll call. Joanne?
Muted.
You're muted.
And under historic preservation, I think you said.
Yes, historic preservation, yeah.
Sorry, Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Okay. On to our next project would be St. John Baptist. St. John Baptist is, they're located at, oh, that's the mailing address.
Center Street, is that what you're looking for?
No,
Yeah.
that's the mailing address. Is that
That's the church address.
Okay, it is. Okay, that's, St. John Baptist is 339 Center Street. Just want to make sure I got that right. This is under historic preservation. They're looking for $55,000 to finish the window restoration on the stained glass, which, take that down here.
You're looking for the project description?
Yeah.
I get it. The phase 2 is for restoration of the stained glass and includes replacing the existing wooden window frame with the copy wooden window frame, reusing as much of the existing stained glass as possible, replacing any missing or broken mismatched colors of the stained glass, and installation of a clear plexiglass sheet on the outside of the window.
Can I have a motion to fund that in the historic preservation for $55,000?
I'll make the motion that we approve St. John the Baptist.
Did you have a question, Joanne?
She was making the motion,
Oh, okay. Make a motion.
I think.
Okay, Joanne made it. Do you want to second it?
Sure, I'll second that motion.
I think
Okay.
she was making the motion. I don't know if
Thank
it came
you.
through enough for the public.
We'll start with roll call then. Joanne?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Okay. Next, going down the line, we have the Union Belt.
Well, do you want to explain
Oh,
that they're all the same score? That they're all the same score?
same score.
Yeah.
We do have 5 that are the same score. We're gonna take them as we go down, listed on our agenda sheet here. So we'll be hearing, the first one falls in the Union Belt. That's how we want to take them in order?
I don't know if that's the best. I think it would probably depending on our feeling as a board. I know my personal preferences, but I don't want to speak for everyone.
Well, on the agenda, they're listed completely different than they're listed on our scoring sheet.
Yeah, that's just the
So-
list though, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think we should talk about all 5.
We are gonna talk about all 5, yeah.
Yeah, like, the 5 are Union Belt, Christ the Rock Church, the Fall River School Department and Administration Building, 2 projects for that, and then the Fall River Children's Museum. You know, I'll personally say that I have a preference for public and nonprofit projects, you know, so that might not stack with the opinions of everyone else, but, you know,
Okay.
we can go in whatever order you like.
How about, okay, we'll just go in the order of how they're listed on our agenda that the public has.
However you want.
Is that fine?
Yeah, however you want, yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
certainly. Works
So
well.
the first one would start with the Fall River School Department, which would fall under historic preservation. That is on Rock Street.
No, the first one is Christ the Rock Church.
Oh, that's, get tucked up there, yeah. Forgot they were 12. Okay, first 12 is Christ the Rock Church.
And that's for tower repair and repointing.
Tower repair and repointing. They're looking for 500,000. Discussion?
Well, they're looking to repoint the building, but there was also a strong comment on the amount of water that was entering the building, and they were going to get a structural report to us. I guess that was going to give us a lay of the land, see if there was any water flowing in, because the statement, I thought, was 2 inches of water when it rained that accumulated in the basement. That's a lot of water for just repointing requirements. So there's probably a larger problem there with water gathering around that foundation that I would think a report would be able to determine for us. So if I was to make a suggestion, I would just look at maybe $100,000 to look at taking care of the water situation, and then go from there next year, once that's resolved.
Yeah, I know they are having problems with the leaky basement, so if they would take care of the drainage problem, it might take care of some of the tower. And then we go from there. Any other comments?
But was that in the application?
When they
for-
said they were getting a lot of water in the basement,
Yeah,
so we could say that the 100,000 would be used towards a solution to the water problem in the basement.
They're
Whether that's redirecting the gutters or,
Didn't they say they were paying for the structural report themselves?
yes.
So we don't need to fund that. That's what you were saying, right?
They were saying that they were getting a structural report in. We haven't seen the structural
Yeah.
report.
Yeah.
Our funding would be to assist or look at the results of the structural report and try and cure those issues, you know.
yeah, not to pay for the report, but to pay for
Yeah.
a
we-
solution.
We all saw the letter that they sent over about the initial fix that they could do pending, like, you know, as a result of our conversation with them. Should I read it, or?
Yeah, if you could read that for us, yeah.
Oh, let me just find it, sorry. I wasn't ready for that. So this was the letter the committee received. It's a little lengthy. After our last meeting, when we were asking about, you know, partially funding the project and the impact that would have if, you know, they had to wait to do more work, if it would undo the work, I think was at least the question I was kind of posing. So, as outlined in the funding application, the total project estimate to stabilize and restore the east and south elevations of the bell tower is between $750,000 and $950,000. Christ the Rock Church is requesting $500,000 to completely restore the east elevation of the tower, as it is the most immediate need of stabilization. Understanding the CPC funding is limited, the church confirmed during our presentation on February 8th that they would be willing to accept partial funding of the amount requested. Partial stabilization work on the east elevation could begin starting from the ground and working up. Upper sections of the east elevation would remain unrestored until further funding could be made available to complete the work. Subsequently, we were asked our opinion on whether any of the repair work would be damaged if left incomplete as a result of only being partially funded. Although the structural engineer will need to complete his assessment of the bell tower and provide his recommendations, there are areas of the tower that are in serious need of repair, and we are in the belief that any work, however limited, would be an improvement to the current conditions. I have discussed the CPC's above concern with the historic masonry contractor, who provided an estimate for the work. A proposed approach to stabilizing the east elevation that would seem to afford the maximum benefit using a lesser funding amount would be to grout solid existing holes and openings that exist within the gaps between the exterior stone veneer and interior brick masonry backup wall. Infilling existing holes will not only assist in reducing the extent of water infiltration into the tower and slow the pace of further deterioration, but would bind the sections of wall together. Additionally, helical ties would be introduced to effectively pin the exterior stone interior brick masonry wall together. The intended effect of grouting the wall solid and installing the helical ties would be to create a monolithic structure. The number of ties needed would be significant. Spacing of the ties would be about 16 inches in the center, both horizontally and vertically. Helical ties would be recessed in the mortar so that they would not be exposed to view. Then it's noted that the approach proposed above is intended to stabilize the tower. However, it should not remain incomplete for an existing period of time to prevent damage of the work performed. The walls should not be left exposed to protracted freezing, thaw cycles. Repointing of the exterior stone veneer and interior brick masonry would still need to be performed, although it is understood that its completion would depend on future funding availability. We would estimate that any remaining grout work and subsequent repointing of the walls should be fully completed within a year of the initial stabilization work. And that was by Michael Keane of Civitex Architects.
So how would we break that up? 750s on the high side for us.
Well, the grant application was for what, 500?
500.
Yeah. So, in terms of, I'm considering a partial funding application. I think when I was doing the math, I mean, I think we all know it's a tough year. I was trying to earmark $100,000 for this project to start that grouting work. I don't know if the board is of the same line of thought.
Those were my comments just a moment ago. I concur with that, and that would allow some preliminary sealing of that tower and of some of the lower level masonry work that's required, which would buy everybody some time, including this board. Hopefully next year we'll have better funding. So I'm in total agreement with your recommendation.
And then they've mentioned that they wanted to try and fund as much of the project as possible, so perhaps they could look into the groundwork around it, you know, of their own accord in the meantime, sort of thing.
Yes.
Joanne, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, well, I've been kind of just doing my own math as to knowing that we're not able to afford to fully fund every project as asked. And I just have my own spreadsheet that I had done, but I don't know if it's appropriate to like just say what I was thinking.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so do you want me to just go through my list? Is that easiest with all of them, or?
No, we can only talk about this
project
one.
right now. Just this project right now.
Christ
Just,
Rock.
right,
Just
just Christ the Rock?
Yeah, just that.
Yeah, so, again, based on what I was looking at for some of my other numbers, I would, like to see 250,000 put towards Christ the Rock Church.
I don't know if we, like, everyone has, you know, their own kind of amount. I'm trying to keep a certain amount in reserves in my own head.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has their own same numbers, so I guess it's where we kind of meet in the middle or compromise on that. I don't know if we can do the full 250
About
and
175.
Well, I would, personally, I would stay with the 100,000 and go along with even the recommendations that they were making about partial grouting to try and contain the water influx into that building. And then let's then better evaluate whether that stops that massive amount of water that the
Yeah.
claim is getting into the basement. And then go into the grouting, because that's gonna be kind of expensive when they start grouting and pointing the building.
The thing of being such a tight year, I mean, getting the work done this year, I mean, they can always come back and apply again in September for what needs to be done, but just seeing, it might change the whole scope of it.
Right, it might.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
okay. So does anyone want to make a motion for partial funding?
did we have a total that we were agreeing on, or?
Oh, we can put that
Well,
in there.
I mean, you and Rick seem to be thinking 100,000. Joanne wants 250. I'm fine with 100 because I think we have to be, you know, we have a lot of other things to consider as well, and I think that it's a good way to at least sort of mitigate some of the problem,
It gets the
and
project
then
started.
see, it does, and then see where we go from there.
Yeah.
Because whatever their numbers are, if that takes care of some of those issues, it may not even need to be
Yeah.
the full amount that they're even requesting, just depending.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion that we take a vote on allocating 100,000 to Christ the Rock Church for this initial expenditure, and then have them reapply in next September.
And this is in preservation then?
This
Do I
is
have a second?
preservation.
Yeah, and I would just also note that, for all applicants, that the grant awards last 2 years, and this could also be an opportunity, once, you know, funding is secured for them to look for matching funding too in the meantime, depending on the necessity of the work. But I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Long-winded second.
Roll call vote, start with Joanne?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Okay. The next 12 on the list would be Fall River School Department, the Rock Street ad building, looking for $260,000. This is for historic preservation for 78 window replacements, woodwork restored, windows and masonry work. I did spin by and look at the first window they had sent as a sample, and the window does look very nice. It's completely wood, designed nice, that period of time. So it will look nice. The only thing with that, I would say, would be
Was that the one where they had requested for staff?
yeah, I was
Okay, yeah.
saying on this one that they have they had out of the 260, they had 30,000 they were gonna pay personnel. And I thought we could bump that out since it's a year. And they said the project would still continue, so if we bump that out, it would just be paying for the windows and the construction cost.
Sounds good to me.
The 230?
Yeah, that's okay with me.
Okay.
I mean, it's everyone, I think, knows it's a tight year. All the communities in the state received less CPA matching funding than in previous years, just so
Yeah.
everyone knows.
So can I have a motion to fund historic preservation 230 for windows?
I'll make a motion as stated, the reduced 230,000 amount for the Fall River School Department Administration Building, 230,000 for the window project.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Joanne?
Sorry, Joey Belly, yes.
All right.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliver, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Okay, and then the next 12 was the Fall River School Department ad building on Rock Street for $60,000 to redo the porch, the front entrance railing, and, restoration of the door frame. This one too had a personnel, and I thought we could back that out. I mean, they're on staff, I mean, and I spoke with the school department today, and I said, you know, it's a nice project, we didn't do it last year because of paperwork requirements coming in. Oh, Tammy.
No.
No wonder.
With that one?
What are you looking for? The project?
I'm looking for the personnel money.
Oh,
The amount of
total.
personnel in that one.
$8,000 of CPA funds was designated for personnel. 8,000.
So what if we just do the 50,000 for back porch?
52 or 50.
No, we just round it off to 50.
That sounds reasonable.
They said they were
Yeah.
gonna do they were committed to the
They're
project.
committed. They have Diamond helping them, so I think there's a little bit of,
Wiggle room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
the labor is being supported by Diamond,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a good project in that the Diamond students are going to get this good hands-on experience. They're going to turn those spindles
Yep.
themselves over at Diamond, so they're going to be doing the actual construction also, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's money well spent.
I think it's just important for the public to know that not all the work will be done by Diamond students. I think you mentioned this. They'll
right, there's
be
no- there's-
guided by the school department
Rails
staff,
done,
Diamond
yeah,
staff,
there's-
like,
yeah.
you know, the consultants and stuff, so.
Yeah, they're just gonna spit it, you know, split some of the work down.
What a great experience just to have our local kids doing local hands-on historic preservation.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Joanne, did you have anything, input or anything? Okay. So can I have a motion for, to fund, the Fall River School Department, under historic preservation on Rock Street for 50?
I'll make a motion to fund the Fall River School Department on Rock Street for $50,000.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Roll call? Joanne?
Joey Belly, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliver, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
And
Okay.
remind me, this one already has a deed restriction on it, correct?
This one has a deed restriction on it, yes.
Okay. I think they all have so far.
So far, all of them have had the deed restrictions on them, yes.
It's too late. for that.
Oh, wait. We do have to,
No, Christ the Rock won't.
we do have it.
Oh, yeah, Christ the Rock won't. So we need to add the funds in for the deed restriction to.
Do you wanna take that back and vote in the 615?
It's
So
it's 500 for the attorney.
and then it's 100 and something for the registry.
Okay.
So probably, I'd say 6. 100 and something, so I'm not sure how much it is to file. I don't know what the filing.
You wanna
fee is.
say 125 to be on the safe side?
Just
Or-
rounded, say at 650 to the funding of Crest of Rock, that would cover.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go.
So we finished the vote on the Rock Street, right?
We have,
Yep, but we need to make a motion to
Okay.
also to add an extra 650 to Chrysler Rock.
Okay, so I would just
So-
want to make sure we rounded that
Yeah.
project off.
All right,
So
so
we-
I will make a motion to add $650 to Chrysler Rock Church for funding to cover the cost of the preservation restriction. I mean, the deed restriction.
Did we want this to be the standard 15 years or any length longer? I know I had brought up the possibility of longer stuff, but
in speaking with the attorney, because we're going into that, looking at all these deed restrictions, it's, 30 years seems to be the average
That's what I-
number that's being used.
I thought that's what we thought
well, I've heard different things since being on the committee. I think since I've been here, it's been 15-year deed
Mhm.
restrictions, but maybe I was misinformed.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the recommendation from the attorney was use 30 years was,
Yeah,
and
I
not,
agree.
not to
Mm.
exceed that number.
Right.
I would
It
say
to
30
me,
years
it
on
makes
this one.
more sense, especially for the amount of money that we're giving.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense just to put a 15-year restriction.
It's more indicative of a community investment and a community
Exactly,
commitment and a
exactly.
partnership, a long-term partnership.
Especially when you're
Correct.
looking at the amount that they might get in funds, so.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so
30-year restriction?
30 years. All right, we have a motion, a second.
Second?
Roll call. Joanne?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliver, yes?
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Sorry.
So right now, we're at,
What was it, Joanne? Oh.
Oh.
right now, we're at 595,920.
Yep. Okay, so we got that,
Next is the
Children's Museum. Fall River Children's Museum, which is a project we did a few years ago. They're back, North Main Street, under historic preservation, looking for $385,420. They're looking to fix the water repair restoration. Let's see the things that would be in here, needed for the roof area. Immediate need to stop the water infiltration as 3 known locations, 2 at the front, 1 at the back. The building restoration will address should include the degraded and missing mortar joints, window repairs, casing trim where joints meet the stones. Let's see, boom, boom, boom. Southwest corner and west side of the building. Roof drains and gutters associated with these areas are also intended to be included. Comments on this? Joanne, anything on this one?
Again, knowing, I'm sorry, Kristen, what was the amount we had left? 580?
No, 595,920 is what we're up to right now. That's what we've
Five-
spent so far. 595, so about 600,000.
Is what we have left,
No, that's
No,
how
that's
much.
what we've spent so
Alex.
is
far.
what we've spent.
Yes.
And we started out 1.3?
1.2 we're at.
About 1.2, give or take.
Yeah, I think it's 1.238-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, this one looks like it's probably gonna be a partial.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what anybody else is thinking. I'm thinking partial.
Yeah, well, because of, again, we have a really tight budget, and the project's looking for gutters and drain looking for some window repair. I would think more on, because of the restraints we have, my thinking is, let's stop the water. Once the water penetration is stopped, the wooden, the conditions of the windows are not gonna worsen and things, so.
Right, and they can come back.
Yeah, so they're initially looking for 385, 420. It is a beautiful building, it's right on Main Street, it's a showcase building. I would say, I don't know, I'd probably be looking more like 250,000 would be a recommendation that I would make to work on the slate roof and get the building sealed and contained. What do you think, Joanne?
Sorry, I was on mute again. Yeah, I again, based on the funding that we have, I think a partial is what we need to do, as we've done on the others. So, I'd be in favor of that. What did you say, 250?
250, yes.
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable.
Okay, if we did 250, that would put us at 846. So
846, 846 out of 1.2?
yeah, just to, and if you just want to look over your sheets to see how you fall and see how that looks for you.
Yeah, because they won't need a deed restriction, they already have
We
one.
already have one. So we want to make a motion for partial 250?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to fund the Children's Museum under historic preservation for a partial funding of 250,000.
Okay, second?
I will second that motion for 250,000 partial funding.
Okay, roll call vote, Joanne?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, so actually, before I second this, before I vote, are we distinguishing which part of the scope the funding is for?
Well, just,
Like you wanted to, so, because we should say in the motion, because I was thinking along similar lines of Rick, but we should specifically say the roof, slate, gutter, copper, and flashing repairs.
Good point.
Yeah.
That, like,
Yeah.
it was broken out as 195,882, and then there's design oversight costs and contingency, so the 250 covers that. I don't like funding, like, you need to have the design and
Right,
oversight
yeah.
funded in order for you want the
Right.
project done. Same thing with the contingency, so
Right.
I'm fine with the 250 number.
Okay, we'll read
and-
that into.
Yeah, I just wanted to distinguish, it's for the roof, slate, gutter, copper, and flashing repairs, which is
For
the water infiltration.
Sealing of the building.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where the primary focus should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that piece of the project.
Yeah, if that's what's required, then that's what's required.
Sorry, Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Gantero Oliver, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Okay. Next 12 would be the Union Building,
Union Belt.
Union Belt. They're looking for 70 windows. This is to me, a pretty good project for our area downtown. It is private, it's historic preservation. He's looking for 503,000. Do we have some comments or?
Well, yeah, my comment would be that during the presentation, the real cost of installing those windows was extremely high when you look at the amount of labor to remove and then the casements. Actually, his request was only for the purchase of the windows.
Right.
and Not,
taking care of everything else.
exactly. He was supporting the rest of the construction project. And the building is extremely historic, and it's actually, I think, the only building in this area that survived
It's
the big
one of the,
fire.
one of the only ones, because I think,
Yeah.
I think
The last
maybe
thing-
the
Well,
Ben
the
and
only
Nate
mill
did too.
building, the only
Yeah.
manufacturing building
Yeah,
that
yeah.
survived the fire.
Yes.
You know, that in itself is historic, and
Yeah.
it's in that Third Street, which the Historic Commission has just gotten on the National Historic Register last year. So it's, I think it's a good project, and unfortunately, again, we have to come up with a number, because if we had, that number would exceed our actual
Yeah,
funding.
it's
So-
not possible for us to do.
Exactly.
Um,
If I seem to be venturing all the guess today, but if we threw out a number of, say, 300,000, that would pretty much put us at our max.
Yeah, the most we could do is 350. That'd put us
Even,
1 almost 1.2. So 300,000 would be a good
A
number.
reasonable number.
I'm actually thinking lower. This is a private project, and I do think that the city should show support that the development is happening in, you know, what I would say is a good direction for the city, you know, historically preserving a very valuable cultural resource. I just want to note that this grant won't make or break the project. He has to have these windows installed to get the tax credits regardless of the grant. I think I'm for giving a grant to support it, to show that the community and the city does support that this type of development. Like in another year where we had more funding, I might entertain that number. I'm actually leaning more towards 100,000, and I think that's fairly generous considering everything this year. I'm not comfortable depleting our reserves to near zero, balance confirmed. I would personally like to keep around 200,000 in there just for emergency applications in the off chance that something terrible happens. I think that $100,000 is a very good show of community support for this project, and the bottom line as presented is very tight, and if so, this should make a big enough difference that I think, you know, it shows the support that the city has. That's my opinion.
I was thinking, like, my own personal thought was more like 200.
Okay.
For similar reasons,
Yeah,
but
no,
I was thinking
it's all good points.
200.
Yeah, I mean, it is an investment, I mean, it is private, but private normally the buildings do maintain a little better than the nonprofits in the city buildings, so our money would be, you know, maintenance on it would be there, so.
Right.
I'd be remiss if I said that nonprofits and private buildings have different goals and purposes.
Yeah, but, yeah. Okay, so.
What's your thought on that, Joanne?
I think I'd be more willing to split the difference and say 150. I am, while I think it's a worthy project, and I know there are many buildings that this owner has renovated in the city, and they look very nice. It is a private project, more so than a, you know, obviously it's a private project, not a public project. So I think I would be more in favor of, again, splitting the difference.
Okay, all right. So, who wants to make a motion for?
So we have 100, we have 150, we have 200, we have 3 and 350.
Do you want to cut it down the middle and do 2?
I'm one voting member, you know.
How does he?
I'm at 100, so that's my, like, you know, I'm just one vote. That's where I am. You know, I think that's as high as I'm gonna get. I'll say that.
Well,
Who's
make a
gonna,
motion for us? Funding on it, or?
well, if we split it, it's 150, as Joanne recommended, and that's splitting the numbers.
Well, that's splitting my number and Alex's number.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's also splitting the 300 in half also, huh?
That's true, that's true.
Well,
Okay.
Well, then that, I mean, I guess 150 kind of makes sense considering, like, if we
Yeah.
split his and mine, if we split the 300, you know.
well, let's try it. I'll make a motion.
I will also
I'm
say, don't
sorry.
forget the deed restriction,
Right,
right?
Oh, so
Need the deed
150,
restriction.
650.
okay,
Under historic preservation.
And I would reaffirm 30 years.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, just, we have to say it.
I will make the motion that we expend 156,000, $650 for the Union Belt window renovations.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, no.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
I'm gonna say we're at 996 and change.
Can you repeat, it was 150, what was the?
650.
150,
615.
Yeah. No, 650, 650.
yeah.
So 150, 650.
So that puts us about at funding allotted $996,570 out of approximately 1.238 million initially, or post subtractions.
Does somebody,
And we also have to remember if, depending on where we stop, there's no community housing, so we have to put aside.
that already came out, that's why we got down
Oh,
to
we
1.2.
didn't, not in community, I mean, not, I'm sorry, outdoor
Open
space,
space
open space and
We have to-
recreation. We would have to take that into account as well, so that would be another 190,000. If we stop funding here,
Yeah,
we have to take out another 190,000 to put into open space recreation.
well, if we put the 190 into open space, we'd be at almost 1.2.
Right, so that's-
where our max is.
That's kind of,
We still
We
have
can't-
funds from last year still in our reserves. So,
how much do we have though, and
Sandy,
do we, because I mean, that's cutting it
You
close.
don't know when we're gonna get that money.
no,
Right.
but I'm saying that we did stop last year, I think with three.
Yeah.
Counting, I think counting open space, the total we had, so if you count open space, we've spent, what did I say? 996,570, I believe, out of, add 122 to that. I think the total, not counting open space allotment, is 1.35, around.
So say this again, 1,000,000 and then 305,000?
Sorry, it's 1.36
Alright, hold on.
million. With open space. If you take open space out, that comes down to around 1.238 number, I believe. This is just my quick math, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Because we don't have the
No, no, no.
exact
Well,
number from this.
It's putting us right at our limit.
Yeah,
Do you want to, is it time to maybe just hold off on?
Well, I think we would be at our, I don't think we could fund another project. If we wanted to have a motion.
no, because that basically, from what I'm looking at, leaves us with $173,000 for, like, 173,430. After taking
Yes.
into account all those factors.
That is correct.
That's not much. And I know we have money coming back, but we don't know when.
Yeah,
And if we have an emergency or request for emergency funding, we won't have it.
yeah. Sandy, you don't have the figure of what we ended last year with?
They've given me nothing.
No, I know last year we had,
maybe around 2,000 in open space. That
We had-
would
we had,
help
we had-
out that you have a full year of community housing plus a little bit extra, but our numbers weren't coinciding with finance. So I don't wanna say how much because I really don't know.
I thought last year we stopped it at like 300 and,
Yeah, but did we spend any of that?
We've had,
No, we
yeah,
haven't
we've,
had any.
we've had some,
I thought we did.
we had
You had.
the Historical Society emergency application, and then we've had a couple supplemental appropriations.
okay.
So,
My guess is you don't have much in reserves right now.
Right.
Okay.
No.
It's probably
Not in
wise.
general reserves, nothing in historic preservation.
No.
Last I remember, I think it was not counting this year's community housing. We had like 450, I think, or we're gonna have around 500,000 in community housing. And then, with open space, I think we'll have like the 190 if that's what we're putting, in. And then the leftover, the 175, you were saying is general.
yeah,
Is general.
Yep.
Wow. Do we need a motion to suspend any further allocations, or?
Well, we're discussing if we would,
Yeah, kind of,
Well, I personally was hoping to get maybe one more project in, but I don't know about the funding now that's been already allocated. Maybe go over the ones that are still left, so the public just knows kind of how the rest of the voting
yeah.
panned out.
okay.
There were 2 left, right?
There was
So-
2 left, right?
Funding that,
3 left, 2
yeah.
left.
No, 2.
No, there's
No, we
3.
have- Oh, there's
3
3.
left,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Corky Row, replace the roof and front windows with 55, which we won't be able to do this year.
Maybe.
Maybe. George Hollis House, 105,000 for repair and install porch post and painting. And then we have the
Pickleball
Bristol
courts.
Community College, the pickleball court on Ellsbury Street for 228,450. Those are projects right now that aren't in our funding.
And that was the order of scoring, too.
Yes, that
Yeah.
goes by the order of scoring. So 1.2. Do we want to
I-
trim?
I don't, I mean, I really was, I mean, I was hoping that we could get the Corky Row.
Yeah.
They were next on the list, and I really was hoping that we could get them sort of,
but they did not get their letter in on time either.
Yeah, I mean,
And
if we were
last
gonna-
year, they didn't get their letter in till
thought-
From
January
historic? We just got the letter in.
Yeah, but they still gave it in.
from the historic.
yeah, but
Well,
Commission.
last
we
year we
told,
had,
but we
uh,
told them they could, that's, so,
Well, it's always good to have, so next year. So that's, the school department did it last year too, when they didn't get theirs in on time.
Well, it's because time was deliberation, time was this meeting last year.
Yeah,
yeah.
They got it in before this meeting this year.
yeah.
So if we're being fair by the standards, that shouldn't be an excluding factor right now.
It's just money-wise is,
This is where the extra 50,000 I was going with for the union belt. I mean, so I was having some trouble kind of wrapping my head around this because the roof I would kind of consider falling under general maintenance, which isn't necessarily CPC appropriate. However, it is a matter of, saving this historic building and then taking into account how much they do for the community and how much they're committing to do for the community. So that's why I was hoping to fund this application at least partially.
Right.
I was also, like I said, hoping to keep around 200,000 in reserves, and we've already nixed that.
Mhm.
So I'll kind of leave it up to the committee, I guess.
Well, Corky Row was next on
Yeah.
yeah, they were next.
on the bid list,
Yeah,
and they were very close to the other 4.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's,
I have a question.
mm-hmm,
Would we be able to, say we could revisit the Corky Row one once we find out, if finance can tell us exactly what we have left from last year?
Uh,
No.
can we, I don't think we can.
don't have
No.
anything in historic preservation.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, they like it because the grant that this year's application process would be over. So in theory, they could submit an emergency application before the next deadline. Emergency applications, for the public and anyone to know, don't operate under the standard timeline because it's an emergency. So it kind of supersedes that yearly timeline that we put forward and try to stick to. So that would be to circumnavigate that if you.
I mean, we could, but I don't want to start a presence where.
Yeah, then it's also,
just because
is it, well, then,
do
you
it
know.
And then it's,
again,
is it an
again.
emergency?
Then, yeah, we have to judge if it's an emergency,
Right.
and, you know, the applicant might not always like our answer, sort of thing.
I mean,
Right.
we did that one year when we got back a lot of money, but it was almost $800,000 we got back.
That
so
was,
that's
yeah,
why we thought
big
it was
difference.
Good to open it back up, but being this close and this tight, I don't think we want to
No.
be having another project.
And the reality is, we're really not able to fund anything that's left if we just want to be able to keep things,
It'd be
what we have
here.
to serve.
I mean, if we looked at it, I mean, we could, see, we did,
It's a $55,000 request.
Mm-hmm.
we could knock 30 off the ad building windows,
We've already voted for those.
or we could take it back and decide. I mean, we don't want to do any cuts,
Is-
so.
Yeah, but then you are also
Right.
running into the problem where that one was higher scored as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was a 12-2.
Yeah,
So,
Like, I was thinking about cutting out the front window since it's not as vital to stabilizing the building, but that's only 5,800.
yeah.
It's, it's too bad there's not a $55,000 surplus somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be pushing it if we included it. I mean,
We're already below what we really would like, that we're comfortable
yeah,
with keeping.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, we're a little over 1.9, but, you know, we take everything out, but it's, you don't want to,
and you'd still have to add in the 650
yeah.
for a deed.
Restriction.
Mm.
Well, unfortunately, with the restraints the way they are, this might be just what it is. I mean, this has been a difficult year.
It
And a
has.
very I found it very difficult in voting and reviewing all of this. And we're, you know, we're dealing with taxpayers' money and we're trying to do the right thing. But it's been very, very difficult to make some of these decisions.
Yeah, when when you're limited to 1.2,
Yeah,
and you have all these projects that are pretty good, and 4 or 5 of them come in at $500,000, it really, you know, is past our,
yes.
you know, we don't have the extra money this year.
So I'll just say that if we did fund it, it would bring our total to 1,052,220 with the deed restrictions. That'd leave us a surplus of about $150,000, depending on how comfortable people are. Honestly, in a perfect world, that's much lower than I was initially hoping we would have this year. But I do think that, I will say, you know, it's a $55,000 grant request, and I think it has a pretty high impact per the dollar on the community. Especially, you know, it's hard to say if they'll carry through on all the community initiatives that they were detailing they're planning to do with the new facility in their application. But that's I guess what I'll leave it kind of at. It's a high, I would think it's a high impact per the dollar for this smaller grant award. Is that 50,000 going to make or break an emergency application? It's impossible to tell.
Yeah.
I don't like to guess things like that too, but it's kind of where we're at. So
It's hard to say what kind of emergency. I mean, yeah, we could be 300,000 to 500,000. Who knows? I mean, it is short money. I mean, would like to support the Irish Club. I mean, you know, it runs deep in my heart, but if we don't have it, I'm willing to bypass on it, but I think we could get by with it in the budget.
You mean
Make a
funding it?
motion, Funding it.
Well, I like the thinking of both Alex and yourself. I hear what you're saying, and I see the surplus, and I also do not like to work at a deficit or close to a deficit. However, if an emergency request comes in, maybe that emergency request would just have to be smaller,
Yeah.
you know, if we went with this. So I like your thinking, both Alex and yours at this point, and I see you nodding your head
Well,
also.
I was
Kristen, so-
hoping originally to be able to fund it anyway, so
Yeah.
this was on my list.
Yeah,
Well-
What's your thinking on this, Joanne?
Just left.
Whoops.
You got
Sorry. I had to turn the light on so I could see. I believe I heard that the window was 5,800 for the window.
Yes.
So would we be able to take out the 5,800 and
Absolutely.
allot the 49,200?
We could do that and then add in the 650 for the deed restriction.
So.
And that's the other
so
thing
give
too,
them-
is,
So you, a $50,000 including the deed restriction? Is that what?
Yeah, it's just,
yeah, I would say.
yeah.
And then you get a deed restriction on it, which we don't have right now, and it saves the building from
Right.
30
Right.
years.
Yes.
I mean, on the, keeping the surplus, I mean, we're not a piggy bank, and we're not the emergency funding.
Right,
So, I
Right.
mean, we like to keep it for our
right.
acknowledgement that we have it if it's available, but, you know, in Fall River, everything is an emergency.
Yeah,
All the buildings are old, all of them are
right.
no maintenance, so I mean,
We could have money coming back to us. We just
Yeah.
don't know yet.
here do we take care of a building that is in need?
I mean, I wanted it anyway,
All
so.
right, so motion and historic preservation for, don't make it?
All right, I'll make a motion to fund the Corky Road Club for $50,000, which would cover the issues with,
Including the preservation restriction money.
No, I
Yeah.
think you're right, yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, I had my math
50,000.
wrong.
Yes.
To cover the funding for the roof, not the window, and the deed restriction.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
all righty. Roll call, Joanne?
Joanne Bentley, yes?
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Okay. With that, could I have a motion to suspend our grants for this year?
I'll make a motion that we suspend any more granting for this year's session.
I will second.
Can we just, so I just kind of want to speak to next year and the applicant. So the Hawes House application, I think, is a good example of something that we can see improved again upon next year. So if the applicant was listening, I would not be discouraged. Same thing for the pickleball court. I mean, literally the same thing. It's good projects that I think definitely the applications can be improved. Feel free to reach out to the committee anytime to, solicit like advice on the application process, like clear up confusion and questions like some of them had this year. Yeah, just, they are good projects. It's just, it was a tough year.
Okay. We made the motion, second.
Sorry, Alex Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Okay. Let's see,
Who made the motion?
Rick.
And who seconded it?
Okay.
Oh, wait,
You did.
no, I did, I made the motion.
Rick seconded.
And I said,
Yeah,
With the closing of the funding, if anyone was listening to this meeting, just remember that you cannot spend your money till you get the check. And you can, you're still welcome to get it,
To deed restriction, you said the check.
well, they can't spend to get reimbursed.
Okay,
till they
yeah.
get the money.
And then,
well, until it's approved,
yeah,
Right,
city
and
council
contracts are
approval,
signed.
yeah,
deed restriction signed.
Yeah.
Yep. And you still have time if you can find other grants, that would be great too. And for the people that didn't make it, like Alex had said, projects were good. And for anybody out there that does want to put it on the private side and you want to restore your house, just kind of do the work and keep track, let us know how much you put in, so when you do come in front of us, we see that commitment that you're behind your house and you're wanting to preserve it. And
And show, and if you could capture like some kind of neighborhood support, whether it's like, a petition, letters of support, things like that, things that, prove to not only us, but the community that the project is worthwhile, that, I mean, you're trying to convince not just us, but the whole city, essentially.
yeah, I mean, you got till September, but it goes by quick. So
It does.
if anyone has any questions, just feel free to give us a call. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
No, we still have project updates and new
Oh.
business.
Um,
Almost.
That's right, project updates will be on all the time. Oh, yeah, it's right down
Well,
there.
we did them all, I think, last.
Does anybody have any project updates?
Nothing new.
This will be a new thing on, so instead of hearing it like every quarter or something, if you have an update, feel free just to jump in this part and give us an update.
Yeah, past CPC projects.
Yeah, I think I gave the update last time on the Watepa Rowing Club. They put the lines in and they're all set for the racing season when it comes around.
Okay.
So I was excited about that. I did not see them, because I did not scuba dive.
Did
Maybe
you-
next time.
Did you want to give an update, or you, no, okay. Because the Art Association's here, I just didn't know.
Did you want to give an update on that project?
So, no.
We finally got a contractor.
You gotta
Yeah.
come up to the, because you gotta give us your name. And you gotta
Oh, temporarily. Soon to not be. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, you just give us a quick rundown.
Hello. Dana Barnes, President of the Greater Fall River Art Association. We finally have gotten a contractor for our porch. But we've also looking to contract him for our Phase 2, which includes our lift and the back porch and all of that stuff. It's been a haul. I will be very honest. It's been tough to find someone to be able to do these things, but we have been very lucky in being able to get that, and should be starting this summer. I'm very excited. So that's my update. Our granite is done, the water lines are done, so it's coming along, but, yeah, we're working hard at it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any new business?
No, will be, I would say probably by the 1st of April or so, we should be working with the attorney on those preservation restrictions. And then it should go along rather quickly. It's getting signatures, it'll take the greater amount of time, but that should be well into motion by 1st of April.
Because this year, we should have, when they sign the contract agreement, the deed restriction all at the same time.
That's the
This way
hope.
we'll be
Yeah.
caught up. And,
Efficiency.
And just to update on my side, I was up at the state steering committee meeting. Most of it is just state, but when you heard that we didn't get our figures from the city on our financing, it's just not a Fall River problem, it's the state problem. One person handled the accounting for CPA on the state level for 25 years. She retired, nobody knows how to do it. So they're in the mess now of trying to figure out how to go about it. So hopefully they work that out and we'll get back on track.
Your microphone. They might not have heard you well.
Oh, okay. But
Just still.
other than that, they are working on since we do look like we're gonna have lower funding, housing projects, they're looking at adding a little more into that category if you use the money for that.
The state?
The committee is
Okay.
trying to get the state to
Okay.
give us money to, like, that would go generally to housing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so.
Plus, we have money in housing as well.
Yeah, this would be to help us, you know, I don't know if that's gonna go anywhere, because if we're not getting any money on the extra, why would they do that? But housing is a major problem, and CPA is one of the big partners behind it, so. That's all I have for update, so, motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
roll call?
Joanne Bentley, yes?
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliver, yes?
John Brandt, yes?
Rick Mancini, yes.
Okay, thank you.